Welcome to the Explainer. So glad you're here, because today we're tackling a real monster. We're jumping right into the infamous challenge of German grammar. If you've ever tried picking up German, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You hit this massive wall the second you look at nouns. Today we're demystifying German articles. We're talking der, die, and das. In fact, Chapter 6 of the German Mastery Handbook calls this the absolute foundation for basically every grammar topic that follows. So get this down, and you're setting yourself up for massive success. Okay, let's just acknowledge the giant elephant in the room right off the bat. The absolute, massive frustration every single beginner feels. You look at an everyday object, like, say, the table you eat at, and you find out that in German it has a grammatical gender. It's masculine. And instantly, the very first question that pops into your head is, why? Why does a German table have a gender? Why on earth does a literal piece of wood have a gender? It's confusing, it feels totally overwhelming, and hey, it is completely normal to feel that way. But before we try to untangle all that, let's just briefly ground ourselves with the absolute basics. An article is simply that tiny little word that comes right before a noun to define it. In English, we're talking about words like the, a, or an, the apple, a book. They are basically the mortar between the bricks of our sentences. We use them all day, every day, without even blinking. And that brings us to the stark contrast between English simplicity and German complexity, especially when it comes to the word the. In English, we have exactly one definite article, the. The man, the woman, the child, the table. It literally never changes. It's a breeze. But in German? Oh, German gives us three definite articles. You've got der for masculine, die for feminine, and das for neuter. So instead of one nice single word to rely on, you suddenly have this three-way split for every single noun in the entire dictionary. So circling back to that burning question, why does a table have a gender? Well, Chapter 6 of the handbook gives us an answer that I really want you to just take in, take a deep breath, and accept as a huge sigh of relief. Ready? There is no logical reason. Seriously, grammatical gender is literally just a quirk of how the German language evolved over hundreds of years. It doesn't mean a table is a guy in real life. It's purely a grammatical category. So the absolute best thing you can do as a learner is to stop trying to find logic where there simply isn't any. And nothing proves this better than seeing it in action. Grammatical gender has absolutely zero to do with biological reality. Just look at the difference here. First, we have der Tisch, meaning the table, and it's masculine. Okay, fine. But look right below it. Das Mädchen, which translates to the girl, is grammatically neuter. Let that sink in. A real biological girl uses a neuter article in German grammar. Mind-blowing, right? It catches almost everyone off guard, but it perfectly proves the point. Gender in German is all about the grammar of the word itself, not the biology of the actual thing. Moving on to Section 1, the toolbox, the colored hat trick. So, if there's no logic to fall back on, how are you supposed to memorize all these without totally losing your mind? Well, you use a visual color system mapped directly to the three genders. See, our brains are way better at remembering crazy visual images than boring, abstract grammar terms. So I want you to imagine every single noun in German is wearing a brightly colored hat. If a word uses der and is masculine, picture it wearing a blue hat. If it uses die and is feminine, imagine a bright red hat. And if it takes das and is neuter, give it a big green hat. Let's actually put this into practice to paint some really absurd, high-contrast visual pictures in your mind. This is how you lock these genders in forever. Take the word for book, das Buch. It's neuter. So literally close your eyes right now and imagine a glowing, neon green book. Got it? Now for der Hund, the dog, it's masculine. So picture a bright blue dog running around your living room. And for die Schule, the school, which is feminine, imagine your entire old school building painted completely fire engine red. The sillier and more vivid you make the image, the better your brain is going to hold on to that grammatical gender. Let's jump into Section 2, pattern recognition, the versus a. Okay, so we've tackled definite articles, the word the. Now let's shift gears to indefinite articles like a or n. And I promise you this is a really simple visual pattern, not just more rote memorization. You don't need to invent a whole new trick for this. Just look at how the definite articles map straight across to the German words ein and eine. For the masculine der, the indefinite article is simply ein, so der Mann becomes ein Mann. Super simple. For the neuter, das, it's exactly the same, ein. Das Buch becomes ein Buch. But then for the feminine die, it changes slightly to eine. So die Frau becomes eine Frau. Did you catch that? Only the feminine indefinite article changes to eine. The other two, masculine and neuter, stay exactly the same. They both just use eine. If you lock on to that little pattern right now, early on, you are going to save yourself so much mental energy later. Which brings us to section 3, the golden learning rule. We've covered the what, we've covered the why, and now we really need to build up to the ultimate, most important behavioral takeaway. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. This is golden rule number 1. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this entire explainer today, please let it be this. Never, ever learn a German noun on its own again. Seriously. Whenever you make a flashcard, whenever you jot down a new vocab word, you absolutely have to follow this rule. The absolutely crucial point here is that you have to treat the article and the noun as one single, inseparable word. Look at the glaring contrast between the wrong way and the right way. It is a massive trap to memorize book equals book. If you do that, I guarantee you'll be constantly guessing the gender when you're actually trying to speak. The right way, really the only way, is to memorize book equals das Buch. Learn the article with the noun right from day 1 every single time. You guys have built an incredible foundation today. You know the 3 genders, you're armed with the colored hat trick, and you know the golden rule. But I do have to leave you with a bit of a provocation. Because now that you know these hats, well, what happens when those hats start changing colors? Yeah, you heard me. Because in German, those articles, der, die, and das, they don't always stay the same. They actually shift and change depending on exactly what the word is doing in the sentence. It's called the German case system, and it is the ultimate key to unlocking the entire language. So are you ready to see how the whole puzzle fits together? Keep this foundation really strong, and we'll dive into that in the next one.